Perfect.
Dennis, what is your response to this?
Well, first of all, I think just background on what the purpose of the call was, beyond just stopping me from representing employees of the district. They also more specifically wanted me to be removed from the area on Friday, but more importantly to them was a district event that was happening on Saturday evening, the Rock the Schoolhouse fundraiser event, the purpose of which, at least partially, was to fund a trip for administrators to Helsinki. So they were having a very important fundraiser for administrators, and so they wanted to make sure that I was not going to cause a disturbance at that event. I had no intention of going to that event in the first place, so we obviously conceded that point, and my boss ultimately told them that I would not be on the premises or at any district events Friday or Saturday, but that was as far as any promises went. But the most egregious thing about the conference call was in that tape there where they're basically implying and comparing me to a school shooter, someone that would murder children. They don't say it exactly, but I think it's very clearly implied. And so they say that that's the reason that they haven't let me enter the building. The reason that the doors are locked is not to prevent people from coming in. It's they allow pretty much anyone to come in without identifying themselves or their purpose until they're actually in the building. So, I mean, it is a security measure, but it's the way their policy has been is that they don't have people identify themselves before they come in. So they changed the policy for me.
Are there employees that indeed may feel threatened by your behavior?
No, I think the only employees that would feel threatened are the employees that have acted improperly. And so I have of course, when I see Deborah Blazer, I would tell her that she should tell the truth. So if she feels harassed by me encouraging her to tell the truth and to tell her that she has support behind her from the other employees in the district, I don't think that's harassing. I think the truth should come out, and there should be no obstacle put between me and any employee that acted improperly if all I'm asking for is that they tell the truth.
All right. Should we proceed to the next piece of audio?
Sure.
All right.
That is the conversation we're having. If I haven't been clear before, let me be clear right now. Employees feel endangered by Mr. Hughes' behavior on site on the premises. We are asking you to instruct Mr. Hughes to stay off of any district premises and out of any district-sponsored events until you and I have had a chance to discuss AFSCME's objectives and what you intend to do about this situation.
Mr. Hughes, what is your response?
Well, so this is an example of the district's attorney speaking for employees. I represent the employees that work at the Education Services Center, or many of them. And so she shouldn't be speaking for those employees. I have union meetings where I speak to those employees. We had a meeting last Saturday where I spoke to these employees. And so they've known what I've been doing. And I know I have a good deal of support among the union members in that building, and I believe I have a good deal of support from the non-union members in that building as well. So they have no reason to speak to that. They also don't have any details or to their allegations of harassment, threatening, and stalking employees, which is just not true and is not happening. So they are basically, just the fact that they're calling in the police to them is proof enough that I've been acting in the ways that they're saying, but it's just not true.
So you're saying they're using a logic of the fact that they called police means that you are causing disturbance, means that you should be removed because they called police.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much logic to get to that point, because after the first time the police were called, immediately afterwards an email was sent to all employees at the Education Services Center stating that there was a safety precaution, and the reason for the safety precaution was me. They said that there was no imminent danger, but they did not say that there was no danger, and they included a picture of me. And so I think that's defamatory. I think there's at least 5 different defamation claims thus far that I can bring. I think the worst of which would be the implication that I might be a school shooter. But I definitely intend to pursue those civil remedies.
Is there any logic or weight that can be given to saying that you are harassing employees and you are doing something that you're accusing others of doing, and that you are the problem, not the district?
No, they haven't given any details to that effect. I do admit that I was outside the building after the police told me that I could not enter the building on Friday. I stayed outside the building. I went to the employee entrance, and as employees were coming and going, I spoke to those employees. I encouraged them to join the union if they weren't members and they were eligible. So I was definitely speaking to employees, but there was no harassment or stalking or threatening going on. And so that's the difference.
All right. Dennis Hughes is our guest, representative for local AFSCME 938. Dennis, what's next for you?
I'm just concerned about what might be the next move of the district. I think the defamation that has been their strategy from the beginning, it has been a necessary strategy because they knew they perpetrated a fraud in front of me. And since I've gone on community radio and told the truth about this, the only way that they can get people on their side is to defame my character and to have people question whether or not I might be telling the truth. I am absolutely telling the truth, and so I'm willing to speak to anyone. I'm willing to answer any questions. If Bill Soderman, who called you on Friday night, wants to ask any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But going forward, I think the board needs to begin to act, because their failure to act, eventually it should be considered condoning the conduct of the district and the superintendent that they've appointed. And so they have the power to remove the superintendent at any time. I believe that they should call for her resignation, and then at next Tuesday's board meeting at 6:30 p.m., when we have hundreds of people there demanding her to be fired, I believe the board should at least act at that time to fire Dr. Schulte. And so that should be what happens next.
And so you will be next on our Janesville Community Radio on Monday Night Shuffle with Jens Jorgensen tonight, and you'll be taking a live call, so if anybody wants to call in and challenge you or ask you any questions, you'll be available to take those. Outside of that, what is your contact information? How can people get in touch with you in general if they have questions?
Well, people can contact me. They can always call me if they'd like. My number is 262-455-1542. If anyone out there has any questions or wants further detail on any of the events that I described, I'd be happy to talk to them in person. If they want to send me an email, I actually set up an email just for this situation, so they can send in any email to firekarenSchulte@gmail.com.
Wow. Okay. You're listening to Discover Janesville, Janesville Community Radio. This is Yuri Rashkin speaking with Dennis Hughes. Dennis will be appearing on Jens Jorgensen's program on Janesville Community Radio later tonight. You're listening to Janesville Community Radio.